In this video, I'm going to talk about what a soul wound is and what a soul tie is and how these things actually work together. We're going to go over how the enemy uses these things to keep us in toxic cycles and demonic patterns, especially in our marital destiny. A soul wound is an internal injury, towards your mind, your emotions, and even your identity that starts with trauma or rejection or abandonment, Any type of abuse of any sort, it starts from that. So those things could create a soul wound on the inside of you, all right? Most likely, they start off in our childhood, all right? Because maybe your mother, your grandmother, whoever, the environment you was around, they were not healed themselves, okay? These wounds happen when someone violates how God designed you to be loved, to be covered, to even be seen or heard, okay? When someone affects these things in your life, especially early on, this happens by creating soul wounds, okay? A soul wound does not just hurt you emotionally, it affects your discernment, all right? It affects your ability and your perspective to see things from a healed point of view, okay? For example, when I had so much anger, all right? So I had a soul wound of abandonment, rejection, a lot of things. And my responses to things was always chaotic. And I was always overly emotional about a lot of things. When God put me with my spouse, this is where these things inside of me was magnified, okay? These things were magnified, and this is why I would always be looked at as a crazy person, because my responses was not normal. And I did not know that this was not normal. Nobody ever told me that the way that I was responding was not normal, okay? So it affects your choices. It affects how you respond to pain. It weakens these things, in your life, okay? And it also does not let you put up boundaries too when you're a wounded person, okay? A soul tie is when a bond is formed between you and another person, either intimately, deep emotional connection, and even shared trauma, okay? These are how soul ties are created. Even vows, all right? Vows will make you become one with the person. So you have ungodly soul ties, and then you have godly soul ties. I just want to make that clear. All soul ties are not bad, but when you have godly soul ties where God has connected you with a person, that is good. But when you have an ungodly soul tie, this is where the problem begins, okay? So again, it could be by covenant or by compromise that these soul ties come together, are formed, okay? But when a soul tie is formed through fornication, codependency, trauma, this is where the door is open for Satan and demonic interference, okay? So I'm going to read 1 Corinthians chapter 6 through 16, all right? So it says, "Do you not know that he who unites himself with a prostitute is one within her body? For it is said that two will become one flesh." All right? So this is how ungodly soul ties, especially through intimacy and fornication outside of marriage, this is how these things are formed, all right? So if Paul was talking about a prostitute, then you could be united with someone that's not from God, okay? And this is what the devil uses to keep us in toxic cycles. But let me explain more. Casual encounters, okay, can create deep spiritual consequences. All right, I just want you to know that. Casual encounters, even if it was a one-night stand or whatever, it can create deep spiritual consequences along with spiritual covenants. This stuff is deep, okay? So save this video so you can come back and watch it, okay? So now let's get into how they actually work together. Your soul wounds, okay, the unhealed area in your soul is what attracts the soul ties, okay? Your soul wounds is literally what calls in and invite these soul ties. Let me go a little deeper. Let's say that you have a soul wound of rejection. You are going to attract people who keep abandoning you. Now, I want you to understand that the devil is sending these people, okay? I'm going to just be real about it. The enemy is sending these people, all right? Because he's sending these people to deepen the wound so you could stay stuck, okay? You will literally be sent the same people with the same trauma. And what happens is it will appear as it's good and what you need, okay? But broken people cannot wear a mask but so long, okay? This is why I tell you guys, and I'm very hard on y'all who have been following me, to figure out who sent the person, especially if you're not married, because your wounds could make you make choices that might seem like it's God when really you're wounded, and your perspective you can't see clearly because you're wounded. And a lot of times when you're married, you don't know these things, right? You don't know these things. So you may have chosen someone out of your brokenness and you did not know to talk to God. I want to encourage you and let you know it's not too late. You can go to God and ask God what his will. And if God has promised you that he's going to restore this, guess what? He's going to deliver you, and then you're going to deliver your husband through your obedience, and the whole bloodline is going to change because you listen to God, okay? Keep in mind, understand that God knows what we don't know, and he knows that, we made these choices when we were in our ignorance. That's why he's here. That's why he's made himself available, so that we can get it right, okay? So the wound, naturally, if you don't go to God and ask God for healing, it will make you feel like you need a particular person. It'll make you feel like you have to prove your love. You have to overcompensate. You have to do all of these different things, okay? And because of your lack of knowledge, you will create a soul tie with a broken person that the enemy is going to use to reinforce the wound. Okay, so the soul tie is like what the devil uses to create legal ground in a relationship or a connection. This is why it seems like you guys always go through the same thing over and over and over again. These wounds will have you create soul ties with different people, okay, that have the same wound as you, that don't want to do the work, okay? And you keep getting the same result over and over and over again. It is not the person, it's you. And you need to ask God to heal you, okay? Proverbs 26:11, it says, as a dog returns to his vomit, so fools repeat their folly. This is why we need to make choices with the Holy Spirit, okay? So you are not choosing cycles over and over and over again. If you are not married, okay? If you're not married and you have been in fornication, all right? Especially with the person that you're believing is your spouse from God, you need to break the soul tie. An ungodly soul tie will destroy your marital covenant. It doesn't matter if you have repented already. You need to come out of agreement with this thing. You need to be very specific and break the soul tie up with everybody that you've been with, okay? You have created an ungodly soul tie and you got married. This gives the devil legal access to destroy your marriage. Let me tell you why. You have to understand that the spiritual realm is governed by laws. So even if you got married and did things the right way, if you have a soul tie outside of marriage, it will give the devil access to torment your marital destiny, and it creates cycles and try to figure out why we keep going through the same thing over and over again. Just like how generational curses, when a person marries and they have generational curses, this gives the enemy legal access, all right? So I made this video so you can get enlightened, break all soul ties, okay? If it's ungodly, you're giving the devil legal access, all right? So even if they come back, because y'all have an ungodly soul tie, he's going to try to manipulate y'all emotions again. Always remember, sin creates covenants, okay? I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video.